Alastor walks into Hazbin Hotel like he owns the entire afterlife. The smile never drops, the radio filter never cracks, and every person around him starts acting like he is some untouchable legend. That works at first because Hazbin Hotel knows how to make an entrance feel huge. His first appearance feels dangerous. The music swells up, the shadows stretch across the room. Husk looks terrified. Badgie instantly distrusts him, and Charlie somehow thinks this literal serial killer from hell wants to help run a redemption hotel out of pure entertainment. The setup is strong. The problem starts when you look past the performance and realize Alastor survives almost entirely off presentation. He talks like a mastermind, moves like a final boss, and acts like he sees 10 steps ahead. But the second you start breaking down what he does across the series, cracks start showing everywhere. Big ones. First off, the obsession people in universe have with him gets exaggerated to the point where it starts replacing actual writing. Everybody fears Alastor. Everybody respects Alastor. Everybody warns people about Alastor. The show constantly tells you he is terrifying before he even does anything meaningful in the current timeline. That works once, maybe twice. After a while, it starts feeling like the series is carrying his aura for him. You hear about how he toppled overlords and shook hell decades ago, but in the present story, most of his intimidation comes from standing still while jazz music plays in the background. The character survives off atmosphere more than action. The fandom took that atmosphere and multiplied it by 1,000 until people started treating him like the second coming of manipulation itself. Then there is the smile gimmick. At first, it is creepy. A man smiling during violent situations gives uncanny energy. The issue is the show leans on it non-stop. Every emotional beat circles back to he's always smiling. Every tense interaction points out he never drops the smile. Eventually, the gimmick becomes predictable instead of unsettling. The strongest horror characters know when to break patterns. Alastor almost never does. The show keeps preserving his cool factor instead of allowing moments where the mask slips in a major way. Because of that, he starts feeling less like a layered threat and more like a mascot for Tumblr edits. His morality also gets weird once you analyze it for more than 5 seconds. The series frames him as chaotic evil with standards, but those standards barely stay consistent. 1 second he hates modern technology and shallow entertainment culture. The next second he joins musical numbers and theatrical nonsense without issue. 1 second he treats everyone like toys. Another second, the show hints at loyalty and respect toward Charlie in ways that almost soften him too much. The balance never fully stabilizes. The writers clearly want him charming enough for audiences to adore, while still evil enough to stay threatening. But those two goals constantly pull against each other. He becomes trapped in a middle zone where the show refuses to commit fully either way. Another issue sits in the power scaling. Hazbin Hotel introduces Alastor like he is one of the strongest beings in hell, the radio demon, a legendary overlord, a monster who appeared out of nowhere and started taking out rulers rapidly. Cool concept. The problem is power without tension gets stale fast. Alastor almost never feels vulnerable. The show guards him carefully because his mystique matters more than suspense. Every scene bends around preserving his image. He enters rooms already in control. He wins conversations automatically because everyone acts intimidated before he even speaks. Even Adam, who should have been an overwhelming threat considering the exterminators wipe out sinners annually, still gets treated with more balance than Alastor in some scenes because Adam actually loses composure and acts emotional. Alastor often feels like the writers are afraid to embarrass him too much. Ironically, the moments where Alastor does become interesting are the exact moments where the show stops worshipping him. His fight against Adam finally injects stakes into his character because somebody genuinely overpowers him. For once, the grin cracks emotionally, even if not physically. For once, he is scrambling instead of orchestrating. That scene works because the illusion breaks. You suddenly remember this guy is not invincible. He is not some untouchable god of hell. He is another sinner who climbed high through brutality and charisma. The issue is fans treated that loss like character assassination, when in reality it was one of the best things the show ever did with him. Then there is the fandom interpretation problem, which, honestly feeds back into the writing itself. Alastor became the classic example of a character people romanticize because he speaks politely. Underneath the vintage radio voice and theatrical personality sits a cannibalistic serial killer who manipulates everybody around him for amusement. Yet entire sections of the fanbase treat him like some misunderstood gentleman because he dances elegantly and avoids swearing every 5 seconds. The funny part is the show sometimes accidentally encourages this by giving him stylish musical scenes and comedic moments without balancing the horror enough afterward. The series wants him marketable. Plushies, fan art, edits, cosplay. That commercial appeal softens the impact of what he is supposed to represent. His relationship with Charlie also raises questions. Charlie believes redemption is possible for sinners. Alastor openly mocks the concept and helps mostly because he finds failure entertaining. That dynamic should create massive ideological conflict. Instead, the series often slides into quirky chemistry instead of pushing deeper tension. Charlie rarely seems disturbed enough by how dangerous he truly is. You would think somebody running a rehabilitation project would immediately recognize that letting an ancient murder enthusiast become co-manager is maybe the worst hiring decision in Hell history. Yet the show keeps forcing them into comedic interactions because audiences enjoy the contrast. That weakens the stakes around Alastor's presence. Another thing people ignore is how little Alastor changes the plot directly compared to the amount of narrative weight placed on him. Think about how much screen time gets devoted to his entrances, dialogue style, facial expressions, and mysterious behavior. Now compare that to how much he actively transforms the direction of the story. He helps defend the hotel. He intimidates enemies. He recruits Husk and Nifty through soul contracts. Cool. But the actual emotional core of Hazbin Hotel revolves around Charlie, Angel Dust, and redemption itself. Alastor often operates like a stylish accessory, orbiting around the main narrative instead of driving it forward. He feels bigger than his actual story contribution because the presentation constantly inflates him. Speaking of Husk, the soul contract situation exposes another weird part of Alastor's characterization. The show presents contracts as horrifying violations of freedom. Husk clearly resents his servitude. Yet the series also uses their interactions for comedy constantly. One minute Husk is a broken gambler trapped by supernatural chains. The next minute Alastor drags him into goofy hotel antics while audiences laugh at the grumpy cat bartender routine. Tonally, the series struggles hard whenever Alastor's cruelty needs to coexist with his entertainment value. You are supposed to fear him and enjoy him simultaneously. Sometimes the balance works, other times the tonal whiplash hits like a truck. His aesthetic also carries him harder than people admit. Remove the deer motifs, old radio effects, sharp grin, and vintage vocabulary. What remains? A smug, powerful guy who enjoys manipulation. The aesthetic package does enormous heavy lifting. Hazbin Hotel understood exactly how to engineer a fandom magnet. Distinct silhouette, memorable voice filter, Tumblr bait design, animatic-friendly songs, mysterious backstory, controlled emotional range. Every ingredient got mixed together perfectly for internet obsession. That does not make him badly designed visually. In fact, his design is one of the strongest in the series. The issue appears when style starts overshadowing substance. Then there is the mystery box approach around his backstory. Mystery works best when small reveals keep rewarding audience investment. With Alastor, the show sometimes withholds information so aggressively that conversations about him become more interesting than the actual material presented on screen. People spend years theorizing because there is not enough concrete content to settle anything. Was he abused? Was he always evil? What happened during his rise? Why did he disappear? Who hurt him badly enough to make him cautious? The writers drip-feed hints because mystery fuels engagement, but eventually audiences need payoff. Endless vagueness risks turning intrigue into frustration. One of the strangest contradictions around Alastor is how much he claims to value entertainment while acting weirdly rigid. He mocks modern trends, dislikes television replacing radio, and carries himself with old-fashioned elitism. That could have made him a sharp commentary on nostalgia and outdated media personalities clinging to relevance. Instead, the idea mostly stays surface level. The radio theme becomes more aesthetic flavor than deep thematic exploration. Imagine if the show leaned harder into how obsolete Alastor secretly fears becoming. Suddenly the smile becomes desperation. Suddenly the performances become survival. Suddenly his obsession with spectacle gains another layer. The ingredients exist. The series simply does not fully cook them. His dialogue also falls into repetition at times. He constantly speaks in theatrical riddles and smug implications. The cadence rarely shifts enough. Characters become memorable through contrast. A villain who speaks elegantly all the time stops surprising audiences. The strongest dialogue moments happen when characters reveal unexpected sides of themselves. Alastor rarely gets enough emotional variation for those moments to hit consistently. The writers protect his image so heavily that spontaneity suffers. The funniest part is that Alastor fans and Alastor haters often make the same mistake from opposite directions. Fans overstate his complexity while haters understate his effectiveness. He is not some flawlessly written masterpiece carrying modern animation on his back. He is also not an empty character surviving off TikTok edits alone. He works because he fills a specific role extremely well. He injects tension into scenes instantly. His voice acting is excellent. His musical presence stands out. His design sticks in your brain immediately. His confidence creates entertaining interactions. Those strengths are real. The problem appears when people pretend those strengths erase every weakness around his writing. Hazbin Hotel as a series loves spectacle. Big songs, big emotions, big personalities. Alastor fits perfectly into that ecosystem because he is built like a performance first and a person second. Everything about him screams stage presence. Even his violence feels choreographed. That makes him entertaining constantly, but entertainment alone does not guarantee depth. Sometimes the character feels like he exists to maintain hype rather than evolve naturally. The show treats his aura like fragile glass. Every scene carefully polishes the myth instead of challenging it aggressively. Still, despite all these problems, Alastor remains one of the most memorable characters in the show. That matters. Plenty of technically well-written characters disappear from public memory within weeks. Alastor did not. People quote him non-stop. Fan artists redraw him endlessly. Editors use his scenes for millions of views. His songs explode online. His silhouette became iconic almost immediately. You do not achieve that by accident. Hazbin Hotel built a character engineered for internet immortality. The issue is immortality in fandom spaces creates protection bubbles where criticism starts sounding illegal to certain fans. At the end of the day, everything wrong with Alastor comes down to one core issue. The show loves his image so much that it sometimes avoids pushing him into uncomfortable territory where true growth or exposure could happen. He exists inside a carefully maintained illusion of control. Whenever the series cracks that illusion, he becomes fascinating. Whenever the series only worships his aura, he starts feeling hollow. The best future for Alastor is not making him stronger, cooler, or more mysterious. The best future is forcing him into situations where his confidence stops working. Strip away the performance, break the rhythm. Let the smile mean something again, instead of functioning like a permanent sticker glued onto his face. Because underneath the radio's static, jazz tracks, antlers, and grin sits a character with genuine potential for greatness if the show ever stops treating him like untouchable royalty and starts treating him like a real monster, capable of failing, unraveling, and losing control.